Find the coordinates of the turning point of the quadratic graph with equation y equals x squared minus 28. The first thing I'm going to do is complete the square on this, and I'll tell you why in a second. So let's just take the first two terms to start with. And I'm going to have, so that's x squared minus 2x. So we've got x squared minus 2x. So that's x times x, like the grid method, and minus 2 times x. Now obviously this at the moment is a rectangle, so I need to turn it into a square, and I'm going to do that by chopping that bottom square in half. So let's have a look. So it's going to end up with, I'm still going to end up with the x squared, but I'm going to have minus 1x instead, there and there. So that at the moment is exactly the same as the rectangle that we started with. So I've got x times x, x times minus 1, and x times minus 1 here. Annoyingly though, I've also got negative 1 times negative 1, which is positive 1. So to keep it the same as the original rectangle, the same value, effectively what I've got is x minus 1 squared, x minus 1 times x minus 1. But I've also got that black plus 1, so I need to get rid of that. So I need to take away 1. Now this is just the x minus 2x, x squared minus 2x here. So I now need to add on that minus 8. So this minus 8 needs to go back into my equation. So altogether I've got x minus 1 all squared minus 9. So that's the completing the square part done. Now why have I just done that? Well, it's because I can now use transformation of graphs. So we can see that this equation here is something to do with x squared. So let's just draw x squared to start with. So x squared would look something like that, and we should know that, going through 0, 0. Now I'm going to think back to transformation of graphs and think back to my lion in a cage. So there's two important things that are happening here. The first is this minus 1, and the second is this minus 9. So let's have a think. The minus 1 is inside the cage. So think that the minus 1 is the lion and the brackets are a cage. So the minus 1 is inside the cage. If it's inside, it can only go horizontal or vertical. Sorry, it can only go horizontal. It's inside the cage, so it's going to do the opposite of what you tell it to do. So here, it says minus 1. But it's going to do the opposite, it's going to go plus 1 horizontally. So this 0, 0 here is going to change, and it's going to become 1, 0, because it's gone 1 horizontally. This minus 9 is outside the cage, so it can go vertically up or down. And it's outside the cage, so it's obedient. It's going to do what you tell it to do. So I've said minus 9, so it's going to go down 9. So again, this coordinate, this 1, 0, has got to go down 9. So it's going to end up being 1 minus 9. So my new graph would actually look something like this, with the turning point 1 minus 9.